All right, Alex, we are rolling. Where's my little intro, Alex? It's right here.
You don't have it memorized by now?
No, but I've got the thing I say about you every episode.
Oh, great. You have to write that down.
I do. Hello and welcome to Deep Cuts the Game, the movie trivia podcast where I give my three contestants three different movies and they try to come up with the most random, obscure, or minor actors from those films. The deeper the cut, the more points they get. I'm your host, Jeff Penn, and with me as always, the guy who, if he was in a horror film, would be the one killed right before he gets with the popular girl, Alex Young. Welcome back to the show, Alex. How are you?
I'm good. That's a great intro.
I thought about that a long time. Like, I really see you as that guy who's like, you're kind of the Randy in Scream, like you know all the rules and stuff like that, and like you literally you like the killer's in the house and you're like, I'm not going to go upstairs because that's stupid, and you see the cellar door and you're like, not going down there either, and you go to the back door and that's when we find out there's two killers and you get stabbed in the throat and we're like, oh, that sucks. Kind of like
I'll take it.
Guy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's better than being the opposite of that. Be like, I am going to check the basement.
Yes. How's it going?
Good. Actually, to that point, as you know, I do horror trivia once a month with a group of people at Stormcrow Manor in Toronto. And by do horror trivia, what I mean by that is I attend it, and my team is made up of three very intelligent women where I just quietly sit and drink my cocktails and make little jokes. And if I contribute 2 answers, that was a successful day for me. But last month, we had a question that stumped us. It was a 2-part question, and it shouldn't have. In retrospect, we were all so embarrassed that we got it wrong that we agreed to a pact of silence, which I immediately am going to break on a podcast because people have to know this shame because it's just a terrible thing to miss. But the question was, name the 2 vampire movies directed by Neil Jordan. One came out in the 90s, one came out in the 2010s. They even gave that hint in the question. And we're like, okay, well, the second one is Byzantium, a movie clearly everyone knows, but like a bunch of us saw it at TIFF together.
Okay.
And Gemma Arterton's in it, and I'll see her in anything. And it's a really solid, strange movie. We're like, what the hell is the one from the 90s? We did not get it. It wasn't until they read the answers at the end. And even my mom would have gotten this one because it's the one with Tom Cruise. It's Interview with the Vampire. Of course, it's Interview with the Vampire.
I think which would have stumped me there is I would have just assumed Interview with a Vampire was directed by somebody who I know.
Honestly, fair enough, because that cast is huge, especially for like the mid-90s.
Yeah, like I would have just assumed it was someone, a little more known.
Arguably bigger, yes, for sure. And a side note to this story is, for some reason, Neil Jordan questions seem to be our Achilles heel. Because in December, I went with just one other person on the team because everybody was busy. But it's okay. It was Sandra. She's our ringer, and I think movies are neat. So again, she carried the whole team. But the question was, what is Neil Jordan's werewolf movie? Which we have both seen. It also might be Neil Marshall, and I'm getting the name wrong, which is also hilarious.
Sorry,
as
am I
one of
allowed
our
to say
guests is pointing
anything
out. Yes.
Yes, please do. Correct him.
I was like, okay, we've talked before, actually yesterday on a different podcast about how much I love Interview with the Vampire. And so I was like, well, it's a Neil, but I'm pretty sure it's not a Neil Jordan. So you stumped me by way of the name.
Giving the wrong information.
This is how little I contribute to trivia. I will
verify. I will verify. Trust but verify.
I am 99% sure you're right. And who is Neil Jordan? Why am I saying Neil Jordan then? Maybe it's nobody. Anyway, it is Neil Marshall.
No, it's Neil Jordan.
I was right. That's shocking.
No one's more shocked than you, Alex, about you being right about something.
Jeff, I'm never right.
And now I need to find out who Neil Marshall is because I was the one getting mixed up.
It's these guys with 2 first names. It's all confusing.
Is Marshall first? I guess. Yeah. So who's Neil Jordan? Is he anyone we would know? Doesn't sound familiar.
I mean, he is the director.
Okay. So Neil Marshall. Who's Neil Marshall?
He's some miscellaneous actor. So.
All right. So Alex, you're just making shit up now.
Well, I will take that hit for the team. That was totally my bad. So
No worries.
Well, Alex, I was really concerned about you winning this game, but now that I've heard from one of our players, you might still have a chance.
Nah, I don't know. Like I said, I contribute very little to the trivia, but the end of the werewolf one is that Sandra and I were racking our brains because we'd both seen it and I watched it very recently. And we were like describing the cover to each other, the poster. I'm like, Angela Lansbury's in it, Stephen Ray is in it.
Oh,
why
The
don't we know the
Howling.
name? No,
It's not The Howling? No,
it's The Company of Wolves.
yeah.
But we could not for the life of us. I'm like, the poster looks like this, and that's where the font goes, and what does it say? And we just couldn't get to it. Anyway, so that dude is our Achilles heel. And there we Neil Marshall's the director of The Descent.
sorry, that's why
Okay,
he was familiar.
right.
That was our first
Yes.
episode we did on The Descent, and that was Neil Marshall. So
I love
I'm
it.
remembering that now.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, Alex, why don't we introduce our two guests with us,
Yes.
since we've heard from one of them, a little bit from the second one, but joining us today are two incredible voices in the world of horror, Sarah Spurlock Hill and Kellie Nicole Hill, the dynamic duo behind Final Girls, the podcast. As a film major and a pop culture enthusiast, they bring a unique perspectives to horror's most iconic survivors, dissecting the final girl trope and exploring what makes these characters so unforgettable. Their podcast dives deep into the genre, analyzing themes, representation, and the lasting impact of horror's last woman standing. Welcome to the show, Sarah and Kellie. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. So excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. I know I've listened to a few of your episodes, and it does get tiring when you say, we're really excited about this episode. I know you were having that conversation.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it was the Jennifer's Body episode where you're like, we're really excited about this. And I'm like, I say that every week. Sometimes I'm more excited than others. I am pretty excited about this week's show. I'll be honest. I am,
Oh, good.
I am excited about it.
It is genuine, though. It is very genuine. We are very excited. Every time we turn the recording on, we're just
It's so
stoked.
much fun.
It's so much
Just
fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the fun part of it. All the other stuff is the not fun part of it. Like
Yeah.
the booking,
The
and all
editing, yeah.
the editing and the social media posts that you feel
Yep.
obligated to do. And you're like, does anybody care?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you a couple questions because I think so. Sarah, Kellie, you mentioned something about Sarah being the podcast pro or something like that. Have you had a podcast before this one?
She has. I haven't.
Okay, so Sarah, you've had a podcast before this one.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, like, you guys just kind of came out of nowhere, it seemed. And like I booked you, and then I was like, wait, they don't even have any episodes yet. And I'm like, oh, well, whatever. People seem to be really excited about their show. So I'm just gonna ask, is being a podcaster everything you had hoped it would be so far?
I am loving it.
Okay.
I said this on another show recently. See, this is what's crazy. We have 10 episodes out, and people have been so nice about embracing us and letting us talk to them on their shows. So it's really cool. I'm a big podcast listener. I had been nervous about being on a podcast myself because it felt like a stressful thing to put myself out there in the world like that. But no, so far I am having a lot of fun. And also, just a caveat, I promise I will not cheat in the game. I was looking stuff up for the previous conversation, but I swear I won't.
I was gonna give you the hey, make sure IMDb is closed.
No.
So I was gonna ask you, I think you're kind of in the same boat that we are, for two reasons here. So people are looking for you and they want to find you on Spotify or Apple or wherever. Your podcast is called Final Girls Podcast, correct? Like, what's the best way if somebody's looking for you? Because much like us with Deep Cuts, the game, you could just type in Deep Cuts and you get about 4 or 5 other podcasts, which they're all good, I guess. But maybe not as good as this one. Because even with yours, like, we had a friend on last year and she had posted something on Blue Sky and she's like, hey, I'm on the Final Girls podcast and it was Sarah and someone else. And I was like, oh, she got that girl's name wrong. It's Kellie. And then I was like, oh, she was on Final Girls Feast. It's a different podcast entirely. And then there's like Final Girls Horror Cast or something like that. And then I think there's even another one. So yeah, I think Alex tried to get me to change the name of Deep Cuts before we even started.
I did. I pitched you a whole bunch of different titles.
And they were all terrible. They were all terrible.
They were all
Can we hear one of them? Can we hear one?
I honestly don't remember a single one of them.
Yeah, none of them really felt right. And I was like, whatever. I'm not too concerned about like being famous. Like it wasn't. Our name isn't what is holding our podcast back.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, we tried to come up with other ideas for names, and we just couldn't. I mean, Final Girls just needed to be the name. It just
Because that's
was
what
so
the show's
natural.
about.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're like, we're going to share the airwaves with 5 other Final Girls podcasts. We're just going to try to do our best to differentiate ourselves, and so it's hard. We're still new, so it is hard to find us on some of the searches on some of the platforms, but our website has all of the links that people need.
I was going to say, yeah. So if people are looking for you, they can go to final-girls.com.
Yes.
Your Final Girls podcast on Blue Sky and Final Girls the podcast on Instagram.
Yeah,
So
you got it.
Hey, listen, you told me in an email, so I just copied and pasted.
Love it.
I was going to say the other thing that we might have in common is, what are you going to do when you run out of Final Girls?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, like you've got a long way to go. You're good.
Well,
You're going to get into some shitty movies at a certain point where you're like, there's a Final Girl, but I'm not happy that we're having to watch this movie. But yeah.
I mean, shitty movies are one of my favorite things on earth. So I'm so down. Yes. So, no, I was telling Sarah, we have a list of about 120 potentials right now, which is 2 years of content at least, given that we release weekly. And then
you got to figure in those 2 years, there's going to be more movies
more will
made.
come out, hopefully. It's
barely scratching the surface too. We get listener requests, and we're just dipping our toes.
I was going to think you could start branching. Like I'm like, for me, like one of my ultimate Final Girls would be Jodie Foster, Clarice Starling, and Silence of the Lambs. And like, that's not necessarily a horror film.
She's on our list.
She's a Final Girl. Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, close enough.
Like Alex and I, we burn through 3 movies every week. And so we're at like 120 movies or so right now. And it's like, we really like try to focus on movies that have big casts. Like there's no sense doing a movie that has 8 people in it because there's no deep cuts. So I'm kind of like, sometimes people are like, oh, I like this movie, that movie, and that movie. And I'm like, I've done all 3 of those. So, and at this point, we haven't not had to circle back yet, but we will see. Okay, so I was going to ask you, I gave Alex what horror character he would be. Who are the 2 of you in a horror film? Like, we can't all be Final Girls, but do you think you kind of slide in? Are you the Final Girl's friend who's like trying to be smart? Like, no, let's just get in the car and get out of here. And then you get stabbed anyway. Like, who are you?
I'm the librarian that helps the Final Girl do the research on what this ghost is.
Okay, it's funny you say that because mine is kind of similar. I know exactly who I would be because everyone always points to characters in movies like this for me. The techie. So like the tech nerd who utilizes technology in some way to, further the fight, basically. So
you're like, what was Martin Henderson in The Ring or something like that, where you're going back through the tape and looking, and it's like,
totally.
Now you've watched the tape 12 times. You're going to die extra bad. So like I was saying, I did listen to some of your episodes. I think I'm just doing the Shining one right now. But I did the Jennifer's Body and the Quiet Place day 1. But I noticed you were talking about, and we had talked about this guy a couple weeks ago, Alex, but Kyle Gallner, who's he's the emo guy, and because we had done him, and he had like a very brief cameo in Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh, really?
As a kid in the water that
no kidding.
Paul Rudd then throws out of his van later on.
Yeah, because he must have been so young.
He was like 10. So like, it's got to be before Veronica Mars, right? Because is he not Dick's little brother in Veronica Mars, who's actually like a rapist?
Yes, and I think he does one of the Nightmare remake. I think was one of his first.
And then like
movies.
The 2 of you mentioned that he's in Smile, and he's also in Scream 5, where he gets killed.
And he's in Strange Darling.
Yeah, Strange Darlings, which was really good too. Yeah, so the guy's kind of
he's
a bit
making
of
the rounds.
He's becoming a horror legend, right?
Yeah,
so,
we love to see it.
Okay, and the other thing I was going to mention, Sarah, I believe it's your husband, Eric, scared the crap out of me in the Jennifer's
His
Body.
deep voice.
Well, no, just because he came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
I'm walking the dog and I'm listening, and all of a sudden this guy's like, "Yeah, the music," and I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I had to go back. I had to go back a couple times, and I was like, and then you introduce him after. And I was like, okay, because that guy, he just
came out of nowhere.
Came out of nowhere. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying the podcast. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
yeah, so I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but how would you pitch it to a new listener, unless they've already kind of figured out what it's about? But what would you tell them to get them on board?
Um, I think what I would say is not what the podcast is, but what it's not. We try to limit the kind of personal banter, that kind of loosey goosey chatter that some infamous true crime podcasts have, to just kind of focus more on the film. But we still want to be like present for fans of the podcast. So we give a little bit of that so that they get some sense of our personality. But then we kind of dive right into the movies, and we kind of try to stick to our film analysis but still have fun with it. So there is a direction that we go in. Sometimes it takes us a little time to get there, but I think that actually our analysis is really solid a lot of the time, and I think that people will like hearing about the female lens for these horror movies,
Cool. Yeah, it's Alex, not something we can provide.
That was not a dig at you guys.
No. It's no, and honestly, I like much like Alex. I'm like, I like movies, and like my whole thing is like, oh, it's that guy. It's that guy. Like I even like made a little note here. Like I am the annoying guy that when you're watching a movie, like pauses it and like, hey, that guy there. And it's like, but here on my show, you have to let me do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Otherwise, Jeff, you're just real life pop-up video. You're just sitting beside someone.
Yes.
You're like, did you know this person was also
Okay,
that
that's
guy?
a
You're
deep
like,
cut.
Shut up, Jeff.
Yeah.
That is a deep cut. I love that.
Well, once again, thank you for coming out. I know you're busy. You got your own podcast, and it's sometimes tough to find time to do other podcasts. But hopefully, we have some fun tonight.
Yeah, we're grateful. Thank you for bringing us.
I am thinking of a movie right now, and I would like the three of you to try to figure out what movie am I thinking of. Alex, I'm going to make you go first because it's always tougher to be number one. What movie am I thinking of, Alex?
Are you thinking of one of our favorites, Sleepaway Camp 1?
Ooh. I guess that is kind of a final girl, isn't it, Alex?
A little bit, yeah.
Depending on,
John.
Yes. Sleepaway Camp, number 1. Kelly, I'm going to go alphabetical. What movie am I thinking of?
Maybe you're thinking of one of my favorites, which is Ex Machina.
Ooh.
Movie rules.
I want to watch that one again, but I don't want to watch it alone. There's something about it that's just... And I don't think my wife will appreciate it as much as I do. It is not that movie either. Sarah, what movie am I thinking of?
And we're just going based on just total gut intuition.
Total gut intuition. Like I told you before the show, it is Final Girl adjacent. But very, very light.
Ooh. Okay, Ex Machina was a good one. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh man. Okay. Okay, I'm like stumped. Let's just go. I'm just gonna go with, I guess it's kind of Final Girls. Happy Death Day. Let's just do Happy Death Day.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that would be very, very yeah. You're actually almost all too Final Girls heavy, I would say. So the movie I was thinking of was Labyrinth.
Oh.
My God.
Okay.
I mean, if you're doing Final Girls for kids, Alex, that's like Jennifer Connelly is,
That's
and that movie that movie's creepy, Alex.
But also, what a niche podcast. Final Girls for Kids. You're doing 4 episodes.
To be fair, we are planning a brief mini-sode series on Final Cats.
Oh my God.
Fair enough. Yeah,
that's
fair
the
enough.
best.
Yeah, you gotta start branching out for sure.
So much.
So you know what, Kelly, I'm gonna go with you. I feel like you're closer with like kind of the science fiction fantasy world. So would you like to go first, second, or third in this game of deep cuts?
Second,
the safe spot.
Yep.
Kelly, because Sarah, because you're the guest, and you and Alex, I think, are equally far away. I'm gonna go with you. Would you like to go first or third?
I'm gonna go ahead and be the wimp here and go third.
All right.
Sorry, Alex.
That's fine.
And Alex is number 1. All right. So now I'm going to give you our 3 movies for tonight. Now I think someone did send me their favorite movies. Was
Sarah
it Sarah?
did.
Sarah did. So I'm going to tell you, one of the movies is from there, and it is not a horror movie. And that's fine. The other 2 movies are horror and or horror related and have Final Girls in them. So we'll start with those. From 2004. The Village. from 2011, Cabin in the Woods. And then, no final girls in this one, just a fashion girl from 1995, Clueless.
Yes.
Oh, Sarah's going to do a lot better with that one than I am.
So while you write down some names and think of any scenes that might be in the back of your brain, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Movie buffs and collectors, this one's for you. MoviePosters.com offers an incredible selection of posters for every taste, from obscure indies to your blockbuster favorites.
Want a poster for The Longest Yard, the good one, or the Adam Sandler one?
They've got both.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka, or just Wonka?
They have all options in a variety of sizes.
Go to MoviePosters.com and use the promo code DEEPCUTS15 to get 15% off your next order. And it's a Clueless movie, not the show, right?
Not the show,
I watched
Alex.
the hell out of the show.
I loved the show.
I still remember every word to that theme song, as I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah.
There was a theme song?
Yes.
I mean, I never watched the show, Alex.
Jeff, she's literally the Polaroid of perfection. What are you talking about?
The Polaroid of perfection. That's so good.
There's so many names I've written down followed by question mark because
Me
I'm
too.
not confident that they're in it.
I know, me too.
All right, we are back with Deep Cuts the Game. I have with me Sarah and Kellie, the hosts of Final Girls, the podcast, which you can find everywhere. Just make sure you find the right one. It's the good one. No, they're all great. This is the one that came on our podcast, so therefore they're the best. We've got 3 movies for them tonight. Clueless from 1995, Cabin in the Woods from 2011, and The Village from 2004. Alex, you're up first. What is your deepest of deep cuts?
Mostly I just want to take her off the board out of the gate. So from Cabin in the Woods, I'm taking Sigourney Weaver.
All right. So you're taking her from Cabin in the Woods and also The Village, Alex.
What?
She's in both movies.
Great.
So you get the double points?
Who knew?
He gets double points for Sigourney Weaver. So 9 points for Cabin in the Woods and 5 points for The Village because she is like the main mom.
I totally forgot she was in that.
Yeah,
like
me
I
too.
said, there's like 6 really big actors and actresses in The Village. So Alex, you jump out with 14 points right off the
I
bat.
thought you'd be more for Cabin in the Woods because it's one cameo at the end. So brief.
It's a pretty famous cameo at this point now.
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
All right, Kelly, you've seen how it's done. I'll tell you, there is still one person who's in more than one movie, though, because I don't think I actually marked down Sigourney Weaver. I knew it in my head, but I forgot. There is another person, if anyone can figure that out. Kelly, what's your deepest cut?
And it can be from any of the 3 movies.
Any of the 3 movies, jump around back and forth wherever you like.
Richard Jenkins in Cabin in the Woods.
Richard Jenkins, yep. Cabin in the Woods. He is worth 8 points.
Okay.
So a little less than Sigourney Weaver. He's also got more of a part than Sigourney Weaver does.
True.
But not as famous as Sigourney Weaver. Right, Alex?
Correct. But does have an Oscar. So by your rules, less points.
I mean, but if you asked me, does Richard Jenkins have an Oscar? I would have said no.
I would not have known that either.
Like, is it
in The Visitor?
Okay.
Oh, okay. I would have said Shape of Water or something like that. Like that would have been my guess. But all right. So 8 points for Richard Jenkins. For Kelly. Sarah, you get 2 deep cuts in a row because we go all the way down and then all the way back up. So what are your 2 deepest cuts?
Okay, so you said we can do like
any movie, and
any
if you
movie.
want to, and if you don't know the person's name,
yeah,
and you're like they were in this episode of Friends,
okay, we'll
figure it out.
Good to know. So the teacher in Clueless, cannot remember his name, but he is also in Toy Story. He's one of the voices.
Wallace Shawn from
good one.
The Princess Bride would be kind of my touchstone for him.
Oh, there you go.
Wallace Shawn for 10 points as the kind of nerdy, awkward teacher in Clueless. Well done. What is your second deep cut, though?
The guy in Cabin in the Woods that's also in Billy Madison. He's can't remember. He's also in Get Out. He's one of the 2 science guys. Cannot remember his name.
That's okay. You got it at Billy Madison, which was funny because that was our movie last week.
Really?
A couple of weeks ago, we did Billy Madison.
Yes.
So Bradley Whitford is his name from.
That's it.
Was he the West Wing, Alex? What show was he? West
Yeah,
Wing.
yeah.
And he was married to Mary Jane Kasmerick, Malcolm in the Middle's mom.
Really cool.
Yeah,
love her.
Bradley Whitford Oh, Adventures in Babysitting. That what else is he? He's
he's the shitty boyfriend.
The shitty boyfriend that Anthony Rapp kicks in the ass onto the dessert tray. He is worth 8 points, the same as Richard Jenkins. So well done. Good start for everyone. Kelly, what's your second deep cut?
I am not going to do very well with Clueless, so I'm just going to get this one out. Donald Faison.
Donald Faison.
Very good.
Donald Faison for 5 points. I mean, best known for what? Being Zach Braff's
Scrubs.
best friend?
Yeah,
Scrubs for sure.
Sure.
I know, yeah. I think they have a
That's a
podcast,
good one.
right?
They do,
think-
yeah.
They
Yeah, it's
do,
like-
yeah.
Friends, not doctors or
Fake
something?
doctors, real friends.
Yes,
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, see, they thought about coming up with a name longer than we did, and it
Correct. And it
It
paid
makes-
off.
it
for
paid
them.
off. So 5 points for Donald Faison. Alex, you have your second and your third deep cuts.
Great. Okay, so I'm gonna take my last two from Cabin in the Woods because you guys took so many off my list, especially that Wallace Shawn question mark, because I know he's in the show, but I wasn't sure if he was in the movie. So I'm gonna take Chris Hemsworth from Cabin in the Woods, who dies so early.
And hilariously.
It's a great death.
Hilariously.
Great death.
Yeah,
Is that the
spoiler.
one at the cliff?
with the
Yeah,
dog?
yeah, he hits like
Yeah.
the force field and just
Yeah.
plummets.
So good. So
Uh,
good.
I mean, he is kind of the most famous of all the people who have gone to the cabin, so he's worth 4 points, though
Fair
he's
enough.
not in the film all that much. What is your third deep cut, Alex?
I mean, I think he makes it right to the end, but he's way less famous than a Hemsworth. The guy from Dollhouse is like one of the leads that has like the bong that turns into
Oh,
a
Stoner.
travel cup. Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Do you know
But
what his
he's
name
the
is
techie
in? Yeah, let me.
In
I wanna
Dollhouse,
double-
he's going to be like third build. He's the one that reprograms like Eliza Dushku and all the other. And I think he might have been in the final season of Buffy as well as one of the Slayers.
Can I double?
He is because he hugs Spike. I remember he hugs Spike on the motorcycle.
Because I think so. What
in,
is
like,
he? So what is
second
he in
last
Cabin in the Woods? Is he one of the?
He's one of the 5 leads. He's the stoner.
Okay, so I'm gonna
He's
look
like
up.
the main male lead.
Yeah,
I'm looking up Dollhouse because that's where you're telling me this person is.
he's in
from.
Dollhouse.
We're actually
let me
doing that Cabin in the Woods in honor of him for 420. We're gonna
Oh,
be doing
yeah?
that,
That's fun.
Alex, fuck! I didn't know that he was in Dollhouse. I did not know that. Did you know what else he's in, Alex?
Buffy?
The Village.
No, are you serious?
He's
What?
like, I don't want to. I don't want to misquote, but he's like, he might be getting married at the end of the movie. Like, there's a character that likes one of the main characters and wants to marry
Got it.
him, and then he turns her down for another character, and she cries a lot, and then she gets married, and I think it's him, but he's definitely in it. You know what my touchstone for him is? The Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie, where he
Yeah,
is-
you love that movie.
He is. Did you ever see it, Sarah? Is that in your
yeah,
wheelhouse?
a while ago, yeah.
When Roderick starts a band, Loaded Diaper, he's the old guy that's in the band that they then
Aw.
kick out of the band. His name is Fran Kranz, and
Fran
he
Kranz, that's right.
plays Marty in the in Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's worth 8 points for Cabin in the Woods because who would know his name? And he's worth 15 points for The Village. You jerk.
Holy shit.
Dang.
Alex, you're supposed to let the guest win.
Oh
So-
my god.
Listen, normally that just happens naturally because
I
of all
love
the
it.
holes in my brain. But
So-
great.
So 23 points for Fran.
Well earned.
Wild.
That's
Well
a good
earned.
one.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, well done. So that takes off the board any of the people who are more than one film. So well done.
Okay.
Sarah. Kelly, sorry. We are back to you. What is your third deep cut?
I guess I'll do Clueless again. Again, this is I'm like really running low on Clueless names. Because the other one I can think of is way too famous. Brittany Murphy. Like,
Brittany Murphy, yes. Who when I pulled up Clueless, I was like, maybe I can use Brittany Murphy as a crossover because she's been kind of the final girl in some stuff, but they just weren't quite deep enough. So unfortunately, Brittany Murphy is only worth 3 points.
Bummer. Okay.
Sorry, but points are points, right, Alex? It's
There you
better
go.
than a zero.
Listen, I've put up zeros before and it has cost me the game.
Yes. Sarah, you get your third deep cut, and then I'll give you a points breakdown at the halfway mark. What do you got?
Stacey Dash and Clueless. She's also in the show. Clueless.
That's right. And I think she was like 42 when she's in
Yeah.
this movie. Because she's like
She's late.
super
Yeah,
old.
she's older. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like I remember her from like as a kid, she was in a Richard Pryor movie called Moving. from like
What?
the mid 80s where she's like a teenager. So she is worth slightly more than Stacey Dash, or sorry, slightly more than Brittany Murphy. She is worth 4 points. So well done. We'll take a little break here, or not a break, but at the halfway point, Kelly, you have 16. Sarah, you have 22. Alex, you have 41.
Dang. Look at that.
Don't worry,
Alex,
the rest of my guesses are leads, so it's not going to be an impressive second round.
I want to show this, Alex. I showed these to you. I want to show them to our guests because I do want to post it on my social media, but I want some audio with it, so I'm doing it right now. Up in Canada, we have these stores called like HomeSense Winners, and I think in the US, like maybe the closest thing is like, do you have Marshalls down there? Is that
Yeah.
Marshall? So it's kind of like a bit of everything, right? Clothes, home decor, shitty art that, you know, whatever. So I love going to go, oh, that would be a cool poster. So I was looking through their art, and there was this picture for Pulp Fiction, which I'm sure if you've ever seen the movie Pulp Fiction, that is not what the briefcase looks like.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And I literally, another dad type person came by me, and I was like, clearly somebody didn't watch this movie. And he's like, no, that is shameful. Then I went to the next row, and there was this also for Pulp Fiction. And I really want to reach out to anyone involved in Pulp Fiction, you know, like Mr. Tarantino, how could you have allowed this? Like literally,
are you aware of this?
Somebody is getting shot in that scene, and they've now put up a pew pew next to it,
and like cartoon gun hands on it.
Yeah, and I was like,
it's like over the gun. Like, don't they have the gun in the picture that you're?
Yeah, the
like,
gun is in the picture, and then
there.
They've put like neon hands on it.
That would make an excellent white elephant gift.
Yeah, like what are you gonna do with this? Yeah, and you're like, well, I'm not putting it up anywhere.
To be fair, the first Pulp Fiction one you show with just like a leather briefcase on it, essentially. I would love that if it just said "The Firm" across the top.
Yeah.
That'd be a great one. Love me a John Grisham.
There you go.
Wilford Brimley just lying in the background, dead on the ground, or something like that. Yes, perfect. All right, we are back to the actual game part of the game, Alex. Sarah, we're back to you. You have your fourth deep cut.
I'm getting low too. Probably not worth very many points, but gonna go with Paul Rudd. Clueless.
Yeah, you're scraping.
I'm scraping, yeah.
The bottom of this barrel. So Paul Rudd is worth 3 points because honestly, he's probably the most famous person from that movie now. But smaller part, but 3 points for Paul Rudd. Kelly, what's your fourth deep cut?
I have a question. So if the actor has a primary role, but they're less famous, are they worth more points? Or if it's a very famous actor who has a smaller role, are they worth more points?
I mean, I guess the best idea I could give you is Fran Kranz, who has a major role and actually survives to the end of Cabin in the Woods, being worth 10 points.
Okay.
Because we don't know who he is. And whereas Chris Hemsworth, who has a small role, but is Chris Hemsworth, was only worth 4. So that's kind of I think you're better off going with the more unknown actor.
Okay. I mean, she's a lot more known lately. At the time, very much not. Bryce Dallas Howard from The Village.
Yeah. She's not going to be a ton. Because she literally is the final girl in that movie, right?
Like but that's what I mean. I have another pick that I'll use if no one else does, but
okay. So Bryce Dallas Howard for 4 points. Yeah. Yes, not as famous at the time, but you know, if you've gone back and watched that movie since, she's very famous.
Fair.
Alex, you have your fourth and your fifth deep cuts.
So if I remember, I know he's in everything, but if I remember where he is in The Village, M. Night Shyamalan. Is he not the guy that picks her up, like the sheriff or whatever, picks her up on the side of the road?
There's a park ranger that picks her up. M. Night is the guy who's in the office at the park ranger's
and you only see him in the reflection.
You see him in a reflection, and yes, he is the director, so that immediately makes him 12 points. But because he has a bit of a scene, Alex, he is worth 10 points.
That's fair.
10 points for M. Night. Alex, what is your fifth deep cut? You're running away with it, though, buddy.
I know. Yeah, am I? Let's see. If I remember this correctly, is Adrian Brody in The Village? Is he like the guy?
He's
like one of the leads.
He's one of the leads. He is the guy I was referencing when I said somebody maybe just won an Academy Award and is in this movie. He is not the guy, Alex. He is the secondary guy who I believe he
secondary guy with his second Oscar. So
he has some sort of mental incumbent on him that causes him to act out inappropriately. If you haven't seen it in a while, Alex, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad what happens to Adrian Brody in this movie.
It's a bummer.
He's worth 3 points.
I'll take it.
All right, Kelly, we're back to you. You are in your 5th. You've got 6 total. So if you've got any big ones in your back pocket, I would spend them now. Because Sarah might steal it on the next go around.
Okay. I don't know if I'm even gonna get credit for this one because it's a question mark here. There is a chick in Cabin in the Woods, and she like works at the facility with Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford. I want to say her first name is Amy, the actress. Like
you got it, Amy Acker.
Yeah.
Amy Acker.
Oh, okay, great, perfect.
Yep.
Yes.
Also from Dollhouse.
Yep. Also from
Buffy?
She's an angel. Her name is Fred, if I'm not mistaken. So Amy Acker for 12 points because she's not a big part. And most people
That's
don't know who
good.
she is.
Nice, Kelly.
Yeah, well done.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Amy Acker. Sarah, you have your final 2 deep cuts.
Well, I just heard Kelly. Did we already say Richard Jenkins? Did someone already call him?
We did Richard Jenkins, and then you did Bradley Whitford. So you knocked out both of those.
Dang, that was my last one. Ugh. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to go back to the bottom of the barrel here. Alicia Silverstone.
Wow.
I know I'm telling you.
I thought Clueless was your favorite movie or one of your favorite movies.
It is.
There's like some people in there that you're gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that.
I know. That's the thing. I think it's just
Wallace Shawn was a good pull.
Wallace Shawn was solid, yes. Alicia Silverstone is worth 1 point.
I'm sure, yeah.
Do you have anything else, Sarah? What is your final deep cut?
The guy that plays Elton is also in a TV show, and I could not remember the TV show, but he played a dad, and it's probably not good enough. But
Elton, if I'm not, we're talking about the handsome, like he's like the handsome Playboy guy.
Yeah,
I believe the show you might be talking about where he is a dad was Suburgatory.
Yes,
does that ring a bell?
I think so.
With the redhead girl from the Zoe's Playlist or whatever.
Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. Yeah,
I don't know her name.
And the Evil Dead remake.
And the one
Jane
where
Levy.
you like the quiet where you gotta like don't speak or whatever. Is she not?
Don't breathe.
Don't breathe. Yes. So Jeremy Sisto, 6 points. So that's a solid.
Good. Jeremy Sisto from 6 Feet Under. That's what I know him from.
That's right, Jeremy Sisto from 6 Feet
yeah.
Under. Yeah. As her like weird brother.
Claire's weird boyfriend. Yeah.
Boy, I think he was her brother. Or no, because he was
weird.
No,
boyfriend.
he's the brother of Peter Krause's love interest, the massage therapist. I can't remember her name now. The Australian girl.
Brenda Griffiths?
Yes.
No, I'm combining 2 names.
It's something
Her
Griffiths.
name is Brenda. Her last name is Rachel Griffiths.
Rachel Griffiths, and Jeremy Sisto plays her brother. And yes, he does have a relationship with Lauren Ambrose. Jeremy Sisto, 6 points. That was a whole roundabout to get to nowhere else. Kelly, what is your final deep cut?
I have 2. And they're both question marks, so I will just give the one that I may be more sure about. And ironically, it's from Clueless again.
Nice.
But I'm not positive about this one. Is the dad also the guy who played the dad in Night at the Roxbury?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to double check.
I can't believe I forgot that one.
I think you're right. As much as I used to love Saturday Night Live, A Night at the Roxbury was not a movie I was super excited about seeing, so I didn't.
I kind of like it. It's fun. But
he's in it. He's definitely in it. I don't know if he plays the dad, but he's definitely in A Night at the Roxbury, so I'm going to give you credit for it. I know him from, and this will show my age, from Cheers. He's Carla Tortelli's ex-husband, Nick, because he was very hairy. His name is Dan Hedaya.
Okay, yeah.
And he was also in Dick with Kirsten Dunst. Yeah. And Michelle Williams.
I think he plays Richard Nixon.
He plays Richard Nixon. Yeah. God, I can't believe I forgot that guy. You're right. You were totally right, Jeff.
Yeah, there was like better ones there for you.
I know. Dang.
He's worth 9 points.
Very good.
So solid. Alex, what's your final deep cut?
In the village, the patriarch of the village Is it William Hurt?
That's what I put down. Is it?
Is it William Hurt or is it the other guy?
I just want to. Yes, because I think I inadvertently wrote down the wrong Hurt. Yes, you're right, Alex. It's William Hurt. I always write down John Hurt when I think of William Hurt.
Nah, it's not John Hurt.
I know it's not John Hurt. It's
if
William
he survives
Hurt.
the movie, it probably wasn't John Hurt.
It's William Hurt for 5 points.
Nice.
Great.
That was my alternate. That was the last one on my list.
Nah, you were right going for Dan Hedaya.
So which was him or like Jeff Daniels? I was kind of confusing them.
Yeah, I can
around
see
that
that.
time.
Let's see. What did you miss out on here? From The Village, of course, Joaquin Phoenix. Not worth a ton of points. Don't worry. No points for
That's
Joaquin
true.
Phoenix. Like, that's like Alicia Silverstone.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Phew.
Brendan Gleeson is also in it.
Oh.
I love Brendan Gleeson. Damn, I need to
And it's
rewatch
an
that
M.
one.
Night movie, so he always uses Cherry Jones. She's the sheriff from Signs.
Oh.
She's in other stuff too. But yes, Cherry Jones. Canadian, I think, no, maybe she's not, but she was in 24, Jane Atkinson. And then the girl who's getting married at the end is Judy Greer.
Oh.
Oh.
She's the one she's always crying because she likes Joaquin Phoenix, but he likes Bryce Dallas Howard. And she ends up
Yeah.
with, I think, Fran Kranz or someone else. Also in it, from Boardwalk Empire, Michael Pitt. He's like one of the guys up, and they've got like the outlook where they can see the beams coming through the woods, and he's up there.
He's in the Funny Games remake being fucking
Yep.
scary.
Mhm.
Yes.
Also
Intense.
very, very small role in The Village. He stands up. They play this game. They make the kids, and he stands like a scarecrow while they hear the creatures behind them in the woods. And you got to stand there as long as you can until you get scared. Jesse Eisenberg.
No way.
Yes, a very young Jesse Eisenberg. Cabin in the Woods. You hit all the good ones. I would say from Buffy, and this is where I thought you might have been going with the Fran Kranz one, Alex, is an actor named Tom Lenk. He was one of the 3 like nerdy guys in Buffy that like always like invents a robot and then it fights Buffy, and then at the end he becomes part of Buffy's team. And also, because we're in Canada, Alex, an actor by the name of Adrian Holmes, who was the other half of 19-2 with the guy from Letterkenny. Clueless. Carl Gottlieb plays the priest at the wedding at the very end. He also did the screenplay for Jaws. Weird that he's in this movie, but
Yeah,
he
that
is.
is very weird.
Amy Heckerling, the director of the film, shows up as a bridesmaid. Joseph Reitman plays a student, and everyone's like, who's Joseph Reitman? Most famous for being married to Shannon Elizabeth for a while.
Oh,
that's
And
a deep cut.
he's a bit
those
of
are
a,
some deep cuts.
it's one of those things where you're like, why did she marry this guy? He must be really funny. Because one of the things, he was one of the original Geico caveman actors.
No
Oh my
kidding.
God.
And I don't think they did a lot of makeup on him, if I'm not mistaken. He was also in that Chris Merloni show, Happy, where he plays like a crazy Santa Claus or something like that, if you remember that. Ren and Stimpy are credited, the voice actors Ren Hoke and Billy West, because she's watching Ren
Yeah,
and
she's
Stimpy
watching
a lot.
it. Yeah.
So they are credited for it. And finally, they go to a concert or a band playing the Mighty Mighty Boss.
Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Oh, of course.
Oh.
I had that CD as a child.
Yeah. Oh my
Of course
God.
you did. So well done. The final scores, though, are Sarah with 32, a very respectable score. Kelly, 41. And Alex, 59.
Dang.
You won, buddy. You won. Congratulations.
thanks.
Very nice. Very nice.
Alex, well, I love when you win because you just give me some garbage answer. But what person do you think we should try to get on this podcast? And don't say your mom again. Because
No, because you would have killed her with Interview with the Vampire.
That's true.
Can you get us any member of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones? Because
I'll
that
look
would
at-
be great.
I'll look into it.
That would be amazing.
I just posted something today, Alex, and you know who I think we could get is the kid from Rushmore, or sorry, from Royal Tannenbaums, who is like Dudley that Bill Murray's doing because he's on like Blue Sky and he's got like 140 followers. And I think we could get him because all he does now is he writes Dungeons and Dragons like stories.
Can you do a campaign for us? That sounds awesome.
He probably would. Unfortunately, he's only in like 3 things, so he wouldn't be a really great deep cut. Other than Freaks and Geeks and the Royal Tannenbaums, he doesn't have a lot of acting credits.
That's great. That's more than both of us combined.
It is. And why are I see some people's podcasts are on IMDb? Why is our podcast not on IMDb, Alex?
I don't know. It seems like something that you should be solving.
All right. Well, I want to thank our guests again for coming out, Sarah and Kellie from the Final Girls, the podcast. Once again, Sarah, where can people find your podcast, and where can they find more about you and Kellie, and what shows are coming up for you?
Yeah, so we mentioned the website. That's probably the best way to get in touch with us. Also to find us on the various platforms, it's www.final-girls.com. Sorry, and we're on Blue Sky. Final Girls Podcast on Instagram, Final Girls the Podcast. We have some really great Final Girls we're covering. We're also going to be doing a couple other guest spots. We're doing a great podcast called Blood in the Cornfields, which I'm really excited about. We're going to be doing kind of a Final Girl episode with them on
Nice.
Christy from Hellraiser. So that's going to be really fun. We also have just really, really great shows coming up. We're just going to start probably in the next few months bringing some guests on. So just having lots of conversations about women in horror is going to be pretty fun. Kellie, did I miss anything?
This is not super interesting to anyone, but we are also on Reddit. Like we're not super active on Reddit, but we are Final Girls Podcasts. I'm like the big Redditor, so I made us one, and sometimes I post our episodes in the podcasting subreddit. But if you want to hit me up on Reddit, you're welcome to.
We're also going to be at Midsummer Scream this summer, so if anyone's going this summer, let us know. Hit us up. It's in Long Beach, August 15th through 17th, I think.
Yes.
So yeah,
cool.
We'll be there too.
Well, excellent. Thank you very much. I know you just did a Shining episode. It's Wendy, right? Is it Wendy?
Yeah.
What's coming up next? Well, actually, this episode we won't air for about 3 weeks. So, I mean, I'm just, we're so busy with so many great shows that we got to get out there. But no, so I think you'll be up in a couple weeks. So what's coming up after The Shining?
No, that's perfect because we usually don't like spoil things ahead of
Okay.
time. So
Okay.
That's great. These
Because it will already happen. Yeah.
They'll already be out. Our next one that we're releasing is Iris from Companion.
Okay.
We both really love the movie Companion. Yeah.
Me
and
too.
Iris
was fabulous.
Oh my god, so good.
Sophie Thatcher, just love.
She is a legend.
Perfect.
My god.
Yeah, I'll see anything she's in now. Like anything.
Same. I loved her as Iris. And then Naru from Prey, the Predator sequel, prequel.
Oh yeah.
So that one was really interesting. And then Bridget from Ginger Snaps, I believe, is the one after that.
Love Ginger
Also
Snaps.
a listener request.
Fabulous. That's
Yeah.
great.
Ginger Snaps walked so Jennifer's body could run.
Yeah.
100%. Yes, I would agree with that.
Alex, I was going to say, because Alex, you loved Jennifer's Body. Sarah, you really liked Jennifer's Body as well. Kellie, you weren't huge on it. I liked it, but also Kellie, you didn't like Juno, and Alex doesn't like Juno.
I'm not big on Juno, but I love Jennifer's Body. Yeah.
That's funny because the reasons that I dislike Jennifer's Body are for the same reasons that I dislike Juno. Although if I were to choose between the two, I would watch Jennifer's Body 5,000 times before I would watch Juno another time.
Fair enough.
And
I also kind of liked Lisa Frankenstein.
I was going to ask about that. I
haven't seen it
freaking
yet.
loved Lisa Frankenstein. I just thought it was such a vibe.
That's
I
on our
loved
list.
it.
I like the aesthetic of it the most, but it just like
80s.
overall was just like fun. It was just
I
fun.
assume it's like Lisa Frank aesthetic. Like
very like neon colors, very 80s. Cole Sprouse is in it. Just it was really fun movie.
And is it Catherine Newton in the lead?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
She's
in friggin' everything right now.
that's what I was gonna say. She's on our list
a lot
like
of horror
couple
too.
times.
Yeah.
She's in Abigail. Yeah.
How does she have time?
And Freaky, wasn't she?
Oh,
the
Freaky's
girl?
great.
Freaky?
Yeah.
With Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
Well, very
apparently
nice.
set in the same universe as Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Because tonally they feel very similar. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Alex, what's new with you?
You know me, Jeff. I got so much going on. No, not much. But if you're in the Toronto area, go to Stormcrow Manor the last Wednesday of every month because Rue Morgue is doing horror trivia. So check that out. That's a good time. Just don't do better than my team. You can come, but just you have to be third or worse. Also support your local rep cinema and buy your physical media wherever you can, your local video store, ideally. But other than that, Jeff. Nothing.
I think we got to stop giving shout outs to companies that don't sponsor us, Alex. I feel
why not? They do good work down there.
We're doing all the heavy lifting here for them. This is why it's packed every week.
You're doing all the heavy lifting.
That's true.
Just show up.
All right. Well, this is the part of the show where Alex sends me an outro and makes me read it sight unseen. Though you did give me a note earlier in the day.
Yes.
Is there anything else I need to be aware of for this one, Alex?
I want you to do it in a vampire voice. You can choose
Are we
your interpretation. That
Count Orlok vampire?
Yeah, like what? Yeah, like is this
Sure.
Robert Pattinson vampire? Like I feel that's just like.
Is it Tom Cruise vampire?
Yeah.
No, I don't think Jeff could pull off quite a sexy vampire as Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt. But if you want it, you can just do the Count.
I was gonna think, do you want like, or do you want like
you can
Count
do like a
Chocula?
Jason
Like
Nick,
what's
Nick Cage and Renfield.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Nick Cage
If
voice.
you could pull that one off,
You're
that'd be
asking for a lot. Like
great. No, I'm giving you many options. You could just do
All right,
like
all right.
Jason Segel's Forgetting Sarah Marshall's singing vampire. That's
Oh.
allowed too.
I'll just do a singing vampire.
Just
now.
run with it, buddy. Whatever feels right in the
Hey.
moment.
I know you might have trouble doing a vampire's voice. What if you sang the vampire's voice? Oh, perfect. That's so much easier. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be real jokey, is what it's going to be.
I appreciate the neck crack. Like you're like, I gotta get into
Get into it,
character.
yeah.
Shake it off.
As the moon wanes, our time together fades like the morning mist. I trust you found our discourse enlightening. Remember, dear listeners, the night is long, so best to follow me anywhere you get your podcast. Least I start following you. Thank you to my delectable co-host Alex Young, who definitely doesn't suck. Pause for laughter. Watch your back until we meet again and the wolves howl their mournful song. Sleep well if you can. Mwah-ha-ha-ha.
Great job.
Thanks very much,
That
everyone.
was fantastic.
That was amazing.
We'll
Just off
see
the
you
cuff
next week.
too.
Yeah, like didn't rehearse it
Incredible.
or anything. Thank you very much for coming. We'll see you next week.